Our channel specializes in bringing the most exciting, surprising, and dramatic plots from the hottest movies, and this time it's an unimaginable shock from beyond the gates. When Chelsea accidentally lifts the veil covering Madison's past, she can't believe that she is touching the darkest part of the person who has always pretended to be a victim. A weak person. A part of a seemingly harmless family but is the central link in a conspiracy that has been hidden for decades. The story begins when Chelsea, while accidentally checking the old medical documents of the nursing home she used to support, she discovered Madison's name appeared in a file related to a patient who passed away many years ago. What makes her wonder is not just the coincidence of the name, but the prominent red note that clearly states, has a history of cognitive personality disorder, requires special supervision. Chelsea couldn't believe her eyes, because Madison was a survivor of years of mental abuse and had been linked to a sealed psychiatric record. Chelsea didn't stop there, so she dug deeper. She looked at old news reports, looked up data at local libraries, and contacted an acquaintance who had worked in the legal profession. The first piece of the puzzle came when she found an old article obscured by time, a case that had occurred 18 years earlier in a small town, where a young girl named Maddie, Madison's real name, was suspected of being involved in the mysterious death of her adoptive mother. The case was ruled an accident caused by a gas leak, but some investigators at the time suspected human intervention. Maddie's name was at the top of the list of people to be questioned, but due to lack of evidence and because she was still a minor, the case was closed, but not before leaving a series of big questions. Chelsea began to feel uneasy when she remembered how Madison always avoided anyone mentioning her past, especially her childhood. She had sobbed, telling painful memories of being abandoned, abused by her foster family, but never once specifically mentioned the identities of her relatives or the actual locations. Every memory seemed vague and unverifiable. Chelsea now understood that the ambiguity was not because Madison was too hurt, but because she was deliberately hiding it, not accepting that the piece was just a coincidence. Chelsea followed the remaining medical data, this time with the discreet help of a friend who worked in the legal archives industry. They discovered that Madison had been treated at a juvenile mental institution in another state, but the name on the records had been changed. By comparing the biological information, traces of Madison gradually emerged. She was Maddie, the girl at the center of the incident years ago, a person who had been diagnosed with paranoid multiple personality disorder, had been violent towards animals, and had to take high doses of neurostabilizing drugs for many years. Chelsea was now caught in a nightmare that she could not escape. She felt like she was living in a dark play, where the main character, Madison, not only deceived everyone but also had the ability to harm anyone around her. But what really made Chelsea shiver was when she discovered that Madison was not completely cured, but had escaped from the institution at the age of 21, used a new identity and started her life from scratch. No one knew that she was once a dangerous mental patient. No one knew that she was once accused of being involved in the suspicious death of her adoptive mother. And no one knew that after all, she was present in this house, living among everyone as an innocent person. Chelsea began to realize that Madison was not just someone who pretended to be weak to receive pity, but also someone who was calculating, cold and dangerous. The stories Madison told seemed to be built as a perfect shell to hide her true self. She always knew how to take advantage of pity, knew when to cry, when to be silent, when to create a new tragedy to make everyone look away from her true nature. Chelsea's anxiety reached its peak when she discovered that Madison was trying to approach Vernon, one of the richest and most powerful people in the community, who was also easily manipulated by touching stories. Chelsea knew that if she let this continue, Madison would not only destroy a person but also a family. But how could she stop it when Madison always put on a mask of perfection down to every detail? No one believed Chelsea when she tried to speak up, because Madison was so good at building her image. Some people even began to doubt Chelsea because of her strange behavior. But Chelsea knew she couldn't back down. She started recording, collecting evidence, quietly following Madison and following the little lies that Madison accidentally let slip. The deeper Chelsea dug, the more she discovered that Madison was not only emotionally manipulating the people around her, but was also planning to eliminate those who could expose her past. One of the first targets Chelsea discovered was herself. Strange phone calls in the middle of the night, anonymous threatening messages, personal items that mysteriously disappeared. All made Chelsea panic and realize that Madison was warning her, if she continued to dig into the past, she would pay the price. But Chelsea didn't back down. Through persistence and courage, she eventually contacted a former witness who had lived with Madison in the mental hospital. This person, now living under a new identity, was initially terrified of Madison's name. But after a while of talking, she revealed that Madison once locked a roommate in a cold storage room for an entire night just because the roommate happened to be wearing the same shirt as her. When asked why, Madison just smiled, a smile that haunts this friend to this day. With all the evidence Chelsea had in hand, she decided to confront Madison. But to her surprise, Madison knew everything. One evening, when Chelsea came home, she found that all the documents, files, and recordings she had collected were gone. The house had not been broken into. There was no sign of forced entry. That can only mean one thing: Madison had gotten in without breaking the door. Chelsea realizes that Madison is on a whole other level. Not just an impersonator. Madison is a master of manipulation, control, and manipulation. Chelsea is now thrust into the most intense psychological battle of her life. She must find a way to expose Madison. But in the meantime, Madison has prepared everything to turn Chelsea into a paranoid person, someone who is out of control, someone who can no longer be trusted. Things are getting out of hand. And Chelsea knows that she must not only expose a terrible secret, but also fight to protect herself from a man who has been hiding his madness behind a perfect facade for nearly 2 decades. Chelsea knows that she cannot fight alone against someone like Madison, someone with a dark past, carefully hidden, and ready to destroy anyone who dares to come close to the truth. But even so, she does not give up. With a strong will, she begins to formulate her ultimate plan, to reveal the whole truth to the light, even if it means being doubted, threatened, or even sacrificing everything. And the inevitable confrontation is approaching, where only one person will gain the right to decide their fate. Will Chelsea be able to expose the horrifying truth that Madison is hiding? Or will Madison continue to hide her dark past with skillful psychological tricks? The battle between truth and lies, between reason and paranoia, between a person who dares to face and a person who always runs away will continue in unexpected directions. If you are as excited as we are about the secrets that are gradually revealed, don't forget to subscribe and follow our channel so you don't miss any shocking, thrilling and breathtaking developments in the next episodes of Beyond the Gates. The secrets never stop, and the worst may yet come.